Flosstube, it's Amy, the Gables Stitcher, back with a stitching update. It is April 25th, 2019, and it has been 20 days since my last Flosstube update. So I have a lot of stitching to show, a lot to talk about, and just a lot to share. If I seem a little awkward, it's because it's been 20 days since I've filmed, and believe it or not, you do get out of the groove when you wait that long. So I was really hoping to film a video last week. My children were off on school vacation. In New England, we get school vacation week in February and in April. I think we're the only part of the country that does it that way. My youngest is a stitcher, and she also does diamond painting. And she's been asking to be in a Flosstube video with me for a while. I've been meaning to videotape a clip of her to put her in, but I haven't gotten around to it. And I typically film and edit and upload while the kids are at school. But she was off last week, so I kept asking her, I'm like, do you want to do a video with me? And she was a little nervous. She's a little scared to do a video. So I'm hoping maybe over the summer I can convince her to do a video. But one way or another, I did not do a video last week. We had a nice week of vacation. We did a little bit of hanging around the house and playing with friends for the kids. And then the end of the week, we did a little bit of a staycation. My husband took some time off of work, and we explored some of our local historic sites. And I'll share a little bit of that with some videos at the end of my video. I know not everybody's interested in that. A lot of people are here just for the stitching, which I completely get because this is Flosstube. It is about cross stitch. So if you are returning, thank you very much for coming back. If you are new, welcome. Thank you for finding my channel, and I hope you enjoy the stitching. So without any further ado, let's get to the stitching. So I was kind of surprised to find out it had been 3 weeks since I had filmed because I have not worked on a lot of projects in those 3 weeks. I did a lot of quantity on the projects, not a lot of, I didn't switch a lot between projects, which was nice for a change. This year with the School of Magical Stitches and Literature, I have been stitching more projects than I normally stitch. I've been switching a lot, and normally I stitch on a project until I'm sick of it. And then I put it away, and it often doesn't see the light of day again for a couple of years. On a smaller project, sometimes I finish it before I'm sick of it. On a larger project, it typically ends up in the whip basket for a very long period of time, which is why I still have 4 or 5 whips from the year 2003. So this was good because I was able to stitch on things for a longer period of time and make some good progress. However, a couple of my projects I did get really sick of, so I think the switching is good for me. Switching, maybe not every day, but working on a project for maybe 3 or 4 days and then switching after that, which is kind of ironic because I'm going to tell you my Mania plans, and they kind of go against what I'm saying. But let's get to the stitching. So the first thing I worked on, and probably the thing I worked on the most over the past month is 3 weeks, is my H is for Henry sampler. This is for my nephew. This is from an Etsy shop that I can't pronounce, but I will put it in the drop-down bar. And I am doing this on 28 count even weave by Zweigart in cream with 2 Victorian Motto flosses. And I will insert a picture of where I was before right here. You may have already seen it. And here is where I am now. So I did a ton on this. So on this side here, I am down to the bottom of this like paisley background. So this is the edge. And on the bottom is the for Henry. And here's the H. And right about here is the center mark of the pattern. So there's still more to go over here. But the majority of this background is done because on the other side, there is the H. So there isn't as much. And I really pushed with this for two reasons. One, because my nephew is already 6 months old. So I would like to give this to him before he's a year old. Two, because I am trying to finish this paisley background and outline the letter. I don't think I'm actually going to fill in the rest of the letter. I think I'm going to outline it and leave it to fill in because I am going to Celebrations of Needlework in Nashua, New Hampshire, the end of May. And I'm not sure how long I'm going for. I would like to go for 3 nights. That's my goal. It runs Thursday through Sunday. So I would like to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but we'll see. I need to look at the schedule with my husband. It's kind of hard with children during the school year to figure out when I can get away. So, but Celebrations of Needlework is a very large convention in Nashua, New Hampshire. There's hundreds of stitchers who go, and there are classes, and there is a shopping mall, and there's a lot of stitching and socializing that goes on. So I find when I go, I need something pretty brainless to stitch because I like to stitch while I'm there because it's a stitching getaway. But I can't have something that requires too much thinking or too much counting because there was a lot of distractions there. So my thought is if I outline all the lettering on this, that fill-in work is going to be very boring. I could do that while I'm at Celebrations of Needlework. So that's something I'm going to try to do. That's why I kind of pushed on this. And I reached the point on Tuesday where I needed a break. Not horribly sick of it, but I needed a break. So I'm going to put it away for a couple of days, and then I'll go back to it. I'm meeting with my stitching group on Saturday, so I might work on that on Saturday because even the paisley isn't too bad to do in a group. One color, not a ton of counting. The next thing I worked on is Modern Folk Embroidery. This is the 2018 Sal, 4-season Sal. This is the first month. I will insert a picture here of where I was before I picked it up this past time. And my goal for this is where I am now. My goal for this was to finish the top. The top is the first 3 months, January, February, and March. So, and I worked on this for almost a week, and I reached the point where I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I even have a string hanging here, a thread hanging here, because I was just done. I'm like, I can't even like stitch that in. I'm just gonna leave it. So, and like I said, this is where I get sometimes in the past, I've gotten to this point in my projects, and then they go away for months, years. I don't touch them. So I really would like to pull this out in the next couple of days and finish that last little bit of March. There's really not a lot left. It is a mirror image of the other side. So, because then I'll have the top done and I'll feel good at that point to put it away for a couple of weeks. I do really enjoy this. This is on 40 count Newcastle cream, and I am working it with a single strand of DMC. It's 3808. And you know how I know I've been working on this for a long time? I worked on it for a long time because I have been finding orts of that color on like all my clothes and in the laundry. And not just like little orts, like kind of longer orts. I'm finding that color thread like in the car, in the laundry. So, because when I'm working on it, a lot of times I'll take the floss and put it on the arm of my chair. And I think I pick it up on like the sleeve of my clothes and then I leave it someplace else. So, like Hansel and Gretel, you could follow them through the forest with their little breadcrumbs. Me, you can follow me around the house with my orts. So every ort I've found in the last week has been that color. So I've been working on it a lot. The next thing I worked on was Spooky Countdown by The Primitive Hair. And I will insert a picture of that, of where I was. And I have been trying to work on this for a block a weekend to get this done by October. And I was very far behind. Well, I was like 3 weeks behind, 2-3 weeks behind. So, and as you can see, I did quite a bit. So I started this way here just because that's where my hoop was. And it was kind of fun going that way. So if I was doing one block a weekend, by the end of April, I should have one more block done. But what I did is I counted after I worked on that, and I realized that if I do a block a weekend, I'm going to be done like the beginning of August. And that's fine to be done at the beginning of August. But the halfway point to Halloween is the middle of May. And I'm past the halfway point on this. So half of this, this is past the halfway point. So I think I'm going to take a couple of weeks off of this as well. And focus on a few of the other projects I haven't touched very much this year. And I gotta say, I love this project. It is so cute, and there's certain things that you don't really notice until you're working on them. So, I've said I changed block 7 and 8 because I managed to put the House of Seven Gables in. And so on block 7, instead of writing this potions supposed to be on the book, I wrote H7G, which is what we used to call the House of Seven Gables. And I added purple. This does not call for purple, but I felt like it needed purple because when I think of Halloween, I think of purple. So I've just been replacing some of the orange and some of the green with purple. And yeah, it's just a really fun project. So I was stitching this block here, the center block, and I'm stitching it from the bottom up, and I'm stitching it, and I have no idea what it is. I'm like, this is a vase. Like, what is it? And then when I get to the top, the last bit of it, it's really washed out. I realize it's a hand, and this is the sleeve holding a spider. Like, how cute is that? So this project has been great for School of Magical Stitches and literature because it basically fits every homework challenge. So that's why I've gotten so much done. And I will continue, pulling it out here or there. I just don't feel any pressure to work on it now until the middle of May because I feel like I've reached the halfway point and we're not quite halfway to Halloween. Something I noticed, you're looking at the picture of a pattern a lot when you notice a mistake in it, because I'm looking at the picture trying to fit it into the Magical Stitches homework. On this one here, because these are all individual pillows, where it says trick or treat, they're opposite here. They put the wrong one in the block. The treat one's at the bottom. So it says treat or trick. Or maybe they did that on purpose, treat or trick. I don't know. But one of those things that you notice when you look at a pattern so much. And that is done on 32 count MGC Textiles linen that I coffee and tea dyed myself. It is the first time I've stitched on MGC Textiles linen, and it will be the last time I stitch on MGC Textiles linen because It's not even at all. It's fine for that piece, but I would not stitch on it again. I am thinking that I would like to finish that pattern in July. It might be what I take with me to stitch when I go on vacation. My family goes on vacation every year in July, and it's a big count and there aren't a lot of colors, and I think it'd be fun to finish up. We'll see. That's really thinking ahead. All right, my next one that I worked on is Stitch Rovia. Not all those who wander are lost. So this hasn't been pulled out for a while. This is a very small design. I'll insert a picture of where I was here. It's only 55 by 82. I am working on this on 28 count even weave. It's a Monaco, and it's off-white or ivory. And here I am. So I pretty much did most of this bottom part. And I pulled this out, I think it was for Magical Stitches homework. And I'm very close to being done. I don't have much left. I have the rest of this mountain here and then some backstitch. And I will likely finish this soon. I'm not really enjoying this, and I think because it has so many color changes, I don't tend to work in a lot of projects that have a lot of color changes. My Haid has a lot of color changes, but I can just park the thread and move on to something else. This has a lot of colors for a very small pattern, so it's not really my jam. So I think I'll probably finish this soon. It's so close to being done anyways. And it is coming out nice. And the last thing I worked on is the Constance Thayer sampler by R&R. And this is one of those projects from 2003 that I have hanging around. And I will insert a picture of that and of where I was the last time. And let me hold this up. It's big. Here I am now. So I basically just worked on border. I worked on the border down at the bottom. I'm trying to see around this massive piece of fabric. I worked on the bottom of the border at the bottom, going out and then starting to fill it in. So, and part of the reason why I started working on this is now, I believe, my oldest whip. And I would really like to get her done this year. So let me hold it up one more time so you can get an idea of how big this is. So the top part is about halfway across. So it's really big. Like, I'm gonna have a decent amount of fabric left here. I'll probably have about maybe 6 inches of fabric on the side, but it is a very large sampler. And I think the chances of me finishing this year are very slim because I have not worked on it very much. And like I said, it is very large. I don't even know the stitch count off the top of my head. And I'm not going to look it up right now. But I would like to get some significant work into this because I am feeling the need to clear out my 2003 whips. I think I have 4 or 5 from 2003. And as much as I want to start all the things, I feel like I need to get significant work in the 2003s before I start anything else big. So that is where I stand right now. The other reason I pulled Constance out to work on is because, like I said, I'm going to celebrations of needlework. I'm also going to StitchCon at the end of June. So that is another large event with a lot of stitches. My thought for Constance there is if I finish all the border, I can do the flowers at celebrations or at StitchCon, because that's more pretty mindless stitching that needs to be done. And then at the bottom, there is an enormous house that if I fill the outside of it, that will be a lot of fill, the roof and the house. That's another thing that's kind of brainless that I can work on at those events. So that is my thought with Constance. So, and that brings me into plans for Mania. One of the tasks that we had to do was last week in School of Magical Stitches and Literature was to come up with a list of our top 20 whips, or just 20 whips. And it didn't need to be top 20 whips. So I did that. And in coming up with that list of 20, we need to post pictures. And initially I was like, I don't want to do that. But it was a really good exercise to do because I was able to come up with 20 work pieces, and about half of them are pieces I love and love working on, and the other half are pieces that I like and like working on, but I don't work on them often enough and they're not getting finished. So in my list of 20, I have probably split up half and half between big projects and smaller projects, and projects that are, almost done to have a lot of work left in them. And I'm not going to run through the list here, but I might end up posting a picture of my list on Instagram so you can see them. My thought is it would be nice to maybe just work on those 20 projects this year, or mostly just those 20, focus on those 20 and see how many of them I can knock out. I think I could probably knock out 10. So we'll see, that could change. But going back to that and talking about Mania, I am watching so many Mania videos right now, and as much as I really, really, really want to start all the things, I really want to finish all the things right now too. So I think I am going to do a very focused Mania. One of the things I'm going to do for Mania is I want to work every day on Constance Thayer. Not all day, not all my stitching, but I want to put in at least one length of floss every day on Constance Thayer. Because I think if I make Constance Thayer my focus project for the next month or so, I can get some significant progress in that, and it might motivate me to really work on it to get a lot of work done on it this year. Because I really want that project to be close to done by the end of the year. The other thing I wanted to do is I pulled out 2 projects I really want to finish next month. And they're both relatively small, and I think they're doable. So the first one is Happy Birthday by Sub Rosa Designs. And I have not worked on this since May of last year. There's like 1 day of stitching on this. I think I stitched this at Celebrations with Needlework last year, and I did nothing else. I didn't work on it afterwards, maybe like 1 day. And this is done with a conversion of mine of Victorian Motto and some Weeks Dye Works I had in my stash. I really, really want to finish this in May because I am making this for my great-grandmother. And her birthday is in June. My grandmother, not my great-grandma, is my kid's great-grandmother. My grandmother is going to be 98 years old. And what do you get somebody who is 98, who has been a very important part of your life and is wonderful? She's a wonderful, wonderful person. You can't get, like, there's nothing you can buy somebody who's 98. So I would like to make this for her and stitch this for her and make it into a flat fold or a pillow to give to her because I think she would really enjoy it. And yeah, I wanted to do it last year and I didn't do it. So this is my first focus for Mania, is to finish Happy Birthday and to fully finish it so I can give it to her for her 98th birthday in June. So because there's no way I can let her know how special she really is to me, but I can try. And I think that she would really enjoy this. So that's my first Mania focus. I also want to give her pictures of the kids all framed because I haven't done that for the last couple of years. My second Mania focus piece is To Ann All a Good Night by Blackbird Designs. This is an old loose feathers. This feather is number 11. It is out of print. It's so much of a unicorn chart. And I have a stitching friend who is waiting for this chart because it's one of her unicorns. And I want to finish it so I can pass it on to her. And I will see her at Celebrations of Needlework in May. So this is where I am on that. Not a big piece. Not a lot left. And to all, good night. So I would like to finish this. So my Mania is going to be focused on self-care, finishing Constance there because we're working on that, making that a priority to work on my long-term goals and giving to others, giving the happy birthday to Graham, and kindness towards my stitchy friends who are wonderful by finishing this and passing it on to one of my stitchy friends. So that's my Mania. That's my plan. If I finish both and To All a Good Night and the happy birthday, we'll see. I plan to come back in 2 weeks, the middle of Mania, so you can see what I'll do. That's as far as my plans go. I've decided as far as homework for magical stitches, the last few weeks I have done what fits into my current plans and I've managed to make it work. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not pulling out a million projects to make it work, but I will focus on the stitching that I want to get done. And I might pull another project if I need to, but we'll see. So Mania is giving and self-care. So that's my Mania plans. So moving on to the next segment, haul. It's been 3 weeks, so I have a bunch. Not a ton. So one of the things, I have a good friend, stitching friend, who lent me this Mary Hollingsworth sampler. This is why I need to finish Constance Thayer, because I want to do the Mary Hollingsworth sampler. She did it, it's just the pattern. So I'll need to get fibers and fabric, which is fine. Mary Hollingsworth is almost a companion piece to the Laura Standish sampler. Laura Standish is the oldest American sampler. I have that too, as a gift from a friend. Mary Hollingsworth isn't quite as old, but almost. And what makes Mary Hollingsworth very special to me is it is from the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, Massachusetts. And as I've said in other videos, that's where I grew up. Peabody Essex Museum my grandfather worked in when I was a child. And it's also where my husband and I had our wedding reception. So thanks to my friend for lending me this, because I can't wait to work on this. So I want to finish Constance there so I can start Mary Hollingsworth. So it's a very, very special piece. So yeah, and the Peabody Essex Museum, little random fact, is the oldest continually operating museum in the country, the United States. So it is a band sampler, and both Laura Standish and Mary Hollingsworth can be done reversible. Not sure I'm up for that. My friend who did Mary said it actually wasn't hard. She did Mary and Laura, and but she's a needle maven. I don't think I'm quite needle maven status, but we'll see. But thank you. And one of my best friends who watches my videos, her husband, who's also a good friend, contacted me and asked if I would stitch a piece for him on commission. And I can't say no. Very good friends. How good? They flew from Germany to Salem for our wedding. Very good. So he wants a big ship, a tall ship, and I will deliver. So this is not my typical stitching. As soon as I finish Henry, I'll probably start this. He said no deadline, so I'll work out some type of plan with it. I've never stitched just a Riolas kit. The Riolas kits have different type of floss. It's like an acrylic, almost like a yarn. So I'm looking forward to it. It's something different, something new. So a little bit of haul, but it's targeted haul. It's not going to be for me. All right. And then a little bit of haul. You know, there's certain people who like they hit the thrift store or they hit a needle workshop and they find like these crazy out of print charts. Like McKenna does that, and I just watched Jessica, the Schoolhouse Stitcher. She did that. She hit like the mother load. So that never happens to me. Never happens to me. But I have hit. I got very lucky. And I hit a few good online mother loads. I'm going to show you these charts. And let me tell you, I did not pay more than their original price when I show you these charts. This never happens to me, and this is probably the one and only time. Mirabilia the Kiss. Yep. Out of print. Mirabilia number 12. And I managed to be the right place online, the right time. Did not pay out of print price. Birds of a Feather, Red Reindeer. $5. Did not pay an out of print price for it. So I am looking forward to stitching this. I've been looking for this one for a while. And it's one of those I've kicked myself for not buying back when it was in print. And these, yeah, I didn't actually believe it until they shipped. Mirabilia, Maidens of the Season. Bought them together. I haven't seen them together. I paid less for them together than they cost out of print, like they cost individually. So, yeah, got very lucky. So this was actually an eBay listing, and I don't know if the search I put in was different because I was the winning bidder and it was way below what I thought it would go for. So I wasn't willing to bid super high because I have many mirrors that I have never stitched. But yeah, I was shocked, happily shocked. So, and I really would like to do these. These are gorgeous. So I would like to do them individually and kind of be able to like change them out of the frame. So you have one long frame that you could put them in and out of. So Yeah. So I may never walk into a cross stitch store and find a mother load, but I feel like I found the mother load online. And this isn't really a mother load, but I found this for a really good price on eBay. And it's kind of funny because I bought it. This is Cross Stitch Gold, UK magazine from August of 2012. I bought it for the Joan Elliott Sleeping Beauty. I think I paid under $10 for the magazine shipped, which is a really good price because the cover price is more than that. And, you know, if I bought Joan Elliott Sleeping Beauty to chart, it'd be more than $10. And one of my Mira unicorns is definitely Sleeping Beauty. And I just don't think I'll ever find it. So to me, this would be the next Sleeping Beauty to do. My oldest always loved Sleeping Beauty. It was her favorite. So I'd like to stitch a Sleeping Beauty. But this magazine was a very pleasant surprise because when I got it, I only bought it for Sleeping Beauty. I like every chart in here. Like every chart in here is really nice. Like geishas, Oriental geisha pair. Those are by Leslie Tier. This isn't really my style, but it's very pretty. Flower. That's Lucy Heaton. There's another one in here too. I thought it was really nice. My youngest was looking through the magazine. Oh wait, there's one more page, 56. I don't really want to do flip through here, but here I am. My youngest was looking through. Careful, there's some charts on that page. She loves these. She wants to do these. The Pegasus and the Unicorn. There's a book series for children. It's a graphic book series. It's for a little bit of older children, like middle readers. It's called Phoebe and Her Unicorn. And my youngest's name is Phoebe. When your name is Phoebe, like you really don't see it places when you're a kid. It's not in books. So she loves the Phoebe and Her Unicorn series because it's all about Phoebe. So she wants to stitch the unicorn, which I think is cute. This is the other chart I really liked in here. It's called Lupines at the Shore. Oh, that's an Ursula Michaels chart. So that was a pleasant surprise. Like I said, I bought it for one chart, but there was a lot more that I really liked in there. And my last piece of haul, Queen of the Bay, Lucy. So I was on the fence about whether to order this or not because to be guaranteed it, you really needed to order it before you knew what it looked like. This is the Hands Across the Sea 2019 Queen of the May sampler. They release one sampler every May. That is very limited. The first one, I believe, was the Unfindel sisters. And I thought I missed out on them. And I was able to find a chart after they were all gone. And I'm really, really glad I did. It's another sampler that I would like to stitch. But I feel like I need to get some of my large old whips out. And you can't find an Infidel Sisters chart anymore. I bought Sarah. I do really like Sarah. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about Lucy. I am so glad about Lucy. I love Lucy because I have a thing for sheep. I love sheep. And all those sheep. So this I don't see being stitched anytime soon, but I am glad I have her. So she's something I will enjoy, and I will enjoy reading through the book, even though she will not be stitched in a very long time. So that's stitching. So if you're just here for the stitching, feel free to tune off, and thank you for coming to visit. Thank you for subscribing and liking. And I will put the link to my Instagram channel, Instagram, and at the end. And in the drop-down box, I am going to try to share more pictures of my progress on Instagram. I might vlog a little bit during Mania. I know a lot of people do that, and I might do that. May's a really busy month for us, and it might be easier to vlog a little bit and then put the clips together. We'll see. But just a little bit of our staycation. We were lucky to live in an area that has a lot of neat history. Although I say that, and really, I encourage everybody to look at your own area, because every area has something, some hidden gem or some, area that makes something that makes the area unique. But in Massachusetts, there definitely is a lot. We are spoiled. So one thing that we've been trying to do the last few years, now that the kids are older, is to explore some of our local history. So my husband took 2 days off at the end of last week, and the first place we went to was the Whaling Museum in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Everybody thinks of Nantucket, Massachusetts, as the whaling capital, and Nantucket was very important in whaling, but what happened when the ships got too big is they could not go into Nantucket Harbor, so New Bedford became where the whaling industry was the biggest. New Bedford Whaling Museum, I'd never been. It was interesting. The kids had a lot of fun, and there were 3 really neat pieces of needlework that I saw there, and I will insert the pictures so you can see them. 2 of them were New Bedford pieces that were very, very similar, so it must have been the same school. And the third one was very different and unique. It was a printing of a map on paper, on fabric, that was stitched on top. So I actually didn't initially even notice that one. My husband pulled me over. He's like, hey, you need to see this one. Let me take a picture of it for you. So I'll put some of the pictures in there. I was hoping to maybe find charts in the gift shop, but I did not. So that kind of stinks. So, but that's okay. That was my disappointment. And the other day we went to the JFK Library, which is in Dorchester, Massachusetts. It's right on the ocean. And it's a gorgeous building. It was designed by I.M. Pei, P-E-I. And I have not been there for about 20 years. We'd never taken the kids there. And I was really impressed with how much they enjoyed it. It's not a super interactive museum, and it's not huge, but it's very well done. And you really get the feeling of the country and the Kennedy administration when you go. So if you are local to Massachusetts, New England, or you're passing through, I definitely recommend either the JFK Library or the New Bedford Whaling Museum for historical fun spots. So they were really interesting. And I guess this is kind of Paul. When we were at the JFK Library, I love the bookstores. I got this for myself about Berlin, 1961. So something that, as an adult parent, I've realized that, there's areas of your education that kind of lack. Everybody has that. One thing that my husband and I have talked about is that when we were in high school and you took United States history or world history or any history, we always ended in 1945. We never had time to go beyond the end of the Second World War. And as a result, I don't know anything that happened from after 1945 to when I can remember. I became interested in world events. So my daughter is taking U.S. history now in high school, and they actually take U.S. history over 2 years. They have 2 years of U.S. history. So she will possibly get beyond 1945. And I think that's great because my husband's the same way. You know, you only have so much time, and we would get through World War II, and that was it. So I don't know much about the politics of the 60s. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. Yeah, that was my book haul. And one other book that I'm reading now, I haven't read very much this year. I used to be a huge reader, and I'm still would consider myself a big reader, but you can't stitch and read at the same time. So I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, but I've been trying to keep a book going as well. So I started reading this last week, The Trial of Lizzie Borden. And this is a new book that just came out. It's nonfiction, and it is about the investigation and the trial of the Lizzie Borden case. And Lizzie Borden, another Massachusetts historical event. And it's really interesting. It is by Kara Robinson, and I would recommend it if you're interested in Lizzie Borden. I have the primitive hair Lizzie Borden piece, and I told my husband I want to stitch it, and I want to go to the Lizzie Borden house to take a picture of me holding it. So that is in Fall River, Massachusetts. So Lizzie Borden was tried in New Bedford, though. So that's where this came in, because we're going to New Bedford, and I knew that's where the Lizzie Borden trial was. So I picked up this book at the library and started reading it. But it's very interesting. It's nonfiction, but it's not something that requires note-taking. So it's very interesting. So I'll put in a few pictures while I'm talking of our trip and the trial and the samplers. And I think that's it. Thank you for visiting. I will have my Instagram handle at the end, and I will put the link in for the Henry pattern below. Happy end of April, and I am looking forward to watching more Mania videos and seeing what everybody else has planned, and I will update you of my plans. So thank you much, and happy stitching. Bye.